This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans, of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show.
Don't cause a ruckus. We talking that talk and spitting them facts. We setting them traps and cracking them backs. We got all the news, we know all the stories. We start from the bottom, rise up to the glory. We say what your local reporters can't say. We break down the X's and O's on the play. It's AJ, King, Con, and Jose. Ruckus. We call it right on the first take and they love us. Yeah, we the best when it comes to sports debate. Find the podcast and let it play. If we get you in your feelings, that's okay. AJ and Jose send you on your way like, bruh, don't cause a ruckus.
We just call it how we see it, big bro. And that we will always.
What's up, Internet? Welcome to Don't Cause a Ruckus, the sports debate show that tries not to take itself too seriously. I am your host, Jose Ruckus, and joining me, as always, is my good friend and arch rival, AJ Khahs. What's up, AJ?
Not much, man. How you doing? I'm excited to get into it with you today.
Oh, absolutely, man. You know, we took off. This is the first episode of the year. I'm super happy to get into it. If you didn't already know, Don't Cause a Ruckus, you can watch it live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, over on twitch.tv, fan-controlled sports, just like Mr. Dirty Dub X is, just like FNO Limitless is. If you can't watch it live, that's okay. You can find the show on YouTube over at youtube.com/@fancontrolledsports, or on all the podcast services on the Fan Controlled Sports feed. We got a huge show today. So much news just in the last 24 hours. So much huge sports news has happened. It's been a huge week for sports news. AJ, we got a lot of stuff to get into. You want to get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. I want to start off some light stuff here. NFL playoffs. We're about to get into them, and it appears that for the first time in a long time, we're going to have a team with a losing record in the playoffs. I don't think it's been done since my Seattle Seahawks snuck into the playoffs, played against the New Orleans Saints, blew them out, the Beastquake, that whole deal. AJ, how do you feel about a losing team being in the playoffs? Does the NFL need to change the rules? Do we need to get rid of divisions? What do you think?
I mean, there's a reason why the wild card happened, and this is the reason why the wild card was made. I think it sucks, but it's a rarity. Sometimes I'm going to be honest, it's not cool seeing Tampa Bay in the playoffs when I think there are a lot of other
I told you they would
teams.
get there.
You
told
did.
you they would get there.
But, let's be real. I didn't really expect it because, come on, they have not played well.
No, they haven't.
It's the luck of Tom Brady. That's what it is. But he's not going to do well in this playoff, man. I really don't think he will.
You don't think that if he gets a home game or even he can't go into the road and beat the Giants?
I guess the Giants, maybe.
Giants. I told you, yeah. I think he has a realistic chance to win a playoff game. I called this back in week 5 or whatever. I think it might happen.
I still don't think it's realistic, man. There are other teams that are going to beat them. Maybe they get to the Super Bowl.
There are much better teams, absolutely.
I just wish. I feel like this is one of those situations where, if they are below, that maybe there should be a rule where if they're below 500, any team that's above 500 that didn't make it, they have to go into a wild card game as well against that Division 1.
Okay, that's an interesting idea. I don't hate that.
I feel like that could be the easiest way to make it fair, but it has to matter to be at the top of your division. It really does.
It does.
At the end of the day, they could just do Eastern and Western Conference like the NBA, but I don't know.
See, this is the thing about the NBA is that apart from a couple historic rivalries, divisions don't matter in the NBA, and so there really aren't rivalries. That's that is the main leg that I think the NFL has over leagues like the NBA, is that the rivalries really matter in the NFL.
You're not wrong.
Hate the 49ers. 49ers hate the Seahawks. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they hate the Ravens. Those games are only interesting because of how much those teams hate each other. You're watching there's really no interesting stories in the NBA outside of player versus player, not team versus team, unless we're talking about the Heat and the Knicks, or maybe like the LA and the Celtics. Like, there's not a whole lot of rivalries. I think the division in it mattering, if you win your division in the NFL, is super important. And I mean, you think about like the FCF, right? We had the Zappers, worst team in the league in the regular season, were able to get into the playoffs in our league, and they were able to win the entire thing. I think that's super interesting.
See, I agree, and it kind of I've heard rumors from people. Maybe it's just fans talking in Discord, which at 99% of the time it is. But I've heard rumors that they're taking away divisions next year, and there's no NFTs versus OGs. It's anybody can make it. The top 4 teams make it, which I don't like.
I don't like that either.
If they're doing that, then the Zappers' whole like People's Championship, there's the argument to be made that it should be an asterisk season. Like the first 2 seasons should just be asterisks if we're going to completely change all the playoffs. And I don't like that. As much as I don't like the fact that the Zappers beat my Apes last season, and I will admit that sucked, I'm still going to say they deserve the win. It was I'm not going to say they didn't deserve it, but it's one of those things where like you cannot just change the complete division of everything just because it looks better on paper. It sucks. I get it.
We're gonna talk more about Apes versus Knights later in this show.
I know,
but that is a great rivalry that is entirely based out of them being in a division together. It mattered when they played each other.
Yeah, and we ended up seeing them twice, which that's literally just because of divisions. If we put everybody seeing everybody once next year, it'd be cool to see what the Apes do against the Zappers in a regular season. 100%. It'd be cool to see what we do, like what the Knights will do against the Zappers too, or like, Should Have Been Stars or Glacier Boys. That'd be great. But I was more excited to see it like go down like every team twice in their division, make real rivalries happen. But
this show is based on how fun rivalries can be in sports. You and we battled through rivalries. Glacier Boys and Wild Aces, then Apes and Knights.
Yep.
Rivalries are fun, man. I think we got to do whatever we can to preserve rivalries in the FCF.
I think we got to do that in a lot of places. So NFL, as much as it stinks, now Tom Brady fans can, just because of this, go around saying he's the GOAT still, and all of us non-Tom Brady fans have to be like, he got in on luck. They're better teams. It's just great for argument's sake.
Speaking of better teams, there's a coach right now who's looking for the best team possible. Rumors are coming up that Jim Harbaugh, coach of Michigan, is looking to go back into the NFL. Of course, he had a really successful run with the 49ers that just because of that institution, he ended up getting kicked out, even though he had a winning record almost every single season he was there. I believe every single season he was there, he had a winning record, made the playoffs. But now he's looking at possibly getting back in the NFL. The rumor is that if an offer comes, he's taking it. AJ, where do you think he's going to end up?
I think the Falcons, there's a lot of things that he can need. I'd love to see him on the Falcons. He's not going to end up on the Falcons. The team that I think really needs him, and I'm going to be real about this, the Lions. Because think about it. Same state, right? Everything stays in the same state. You keep the fans, keep the college fans, and that whole team, that whole establishment, company, whatever you want to call it, needs to be fixed. If you just hand over the reins to Jim Harbaugh, you got to get something good out of it. He's done so much in college football. It just makes sense. Maybe Denver would be cool to see, just because maybe he can, whip Russell Wilson into shape and get him in. Wow, that was really bad, but I'm going to call myself on that. But like, he needs to fix that whole. He needs to go to a company. I'm going to keep saying companies. He's going to need to go to a team, a club, whatever you want to call it, that is in shambles. Why? Because this man is greatness in a coach. And if you just hand over the reins to your institution, you're going to get something good out of it. It may not be perfect. If you're last in the league, Detroit Lions style, you may not be in the playoffs this year. Give it 2 or 3 years, you will be.
Okay. So, look, the Detroit Lions are still alive for the playoffs. Okay, they're not at the bottom of the league, and I think Dan Campbell has done a wonderful job.
Okay, Browns. He can go to the Browns then. How about that?
Okay, that's that. I like that better. I really like Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, he's been there 2 seasons. In each season, they've seemed to improve. I really think you give Dan Campbell one more season, a defensive draft class. I think that's a playoff team. I think they're good. There was a time this season they were the #1 offense in the NFL.
You're not
I
wrong.
think there are two obvious choices of where Jim Harbaugh can go. Denver is one of them. That team they fired Nathaniel Hackett, terrible coach, completely failed that organization, failed those players. I think there's a lot of talent there that Jim Harbaugh could get a lot of usage out of. But I think a more interesting situation is the Panthers head coach, because they're talking right now. The Panthers, they need a new head coach. They got rid of Matt Rule. The owner is saying he's looking for a CEO type, which is exactly what you think of when you think of the coaches in the college football system right now. Guys like Jim Harbaugh.
Exactly.
I think he's a fit there. The Panthers really need somebody who can go in there, step in. The reason his relationship with the 49ers fell apart was because they felt that the culture that he was breeding there just wasn't the kind of fit for the 49ers. The ownership wanted more control. The ownership in Carolina is super weird. This is a guy who literally on his desk has a set of brass balls. This seems like the kind of guy who would love a Jim Harbaugh running his organization.
How do you know that he has a set of brass balls on there?
It was when he bought the team. This was a huge story. This was a huge story.
Sure. You just haven't seen it.
No, I hang out with Tepper.
The brass balls.
I hang out with Tepper all the time. I go into his office, rub the brass balls.
It's good luck, right? You do it at the beginning of every year. Yeah.
I think the Panthers is actually, that's a team that needs a full rebuild right now. It's just been a disaster over there for the last couple of years. They lost Christian McCaffrey. They just traded him away for what feels like pennies
on the dollar. Yeah, no, I agree. No, that's a good. I can see him going to Carolina. That's actually a good choice. I didn't think about that.
Okay, well, we're sticking in the realm of college football right now because next Monday, college football, the championship is happening. We got the TCU Horned Frogs versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Bulldogs are the reigning champions. TCU just had a huge upset over Jim Harbaugh's Michigan. AJ, what do you think? Who's walking away with the championship?
I think as much as, we love TCU, they are the Morocco of this World Cup. They've gone way further than they should have. And, I'm going to say congrats to them. I love TCU and like the Cinderella story that they created this year. Everybody loves a good Cinderella story. But besides like the miracle on ice, man, Cinderella stories usually end up with the clock striking midnight and the pumpkin carriage popping up out of nowhere. So I think that's what's going to end up happening. Like the difference between Georgia and TCU, I think you're like, I don't want to say magnanimous. I don't want them to say huge, like our former president. But genuinely, I really think that this is Georgia's game. They've been there before. They know the pressure. It's the difference between, the expectation and, wow, you got here, good on you. That's like the difference between the two. Like when you talk about TCU, it's really this, oh, wow, it's so great. This is a ridiculous season whereas with Georgia, it's like, okay, well, this is kind of expected. I still am going to argue that, Bennett should have had won the Heisman. That's me. But still, like, actually twice, man. He had 2 chances and they stole it from him. The kid is awesome. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. This is one of those situations where I don't know if his skills will transfer over to the NFL as well as it did in college football. I hope it does. I hope he has a great future in the NFL because he got shafted out of the Heismans. But I'm going Georgia all the way. Like I would love to put money on it. People keep like saying, "Oh, TCU is gonna." Info is adamant that TCU is gonna win it. Yo, those horny frogs. They're not gonna be so horny after Monday.
Kratos 2010 in the Chaz, great point. You call Stetson Bennett a kid. He's like 30.
It's true. Yeah.
The guy's so old. I agree with you for the most part. Georgia's one of the best college defenses any of us has ever seen. Maybe the best college defense.
Wait, he's 30? I gotta look at that.
He is. He's like older than I think 5 quarterbacks playing in the NFL right now. Stetson Bennett is currently older than them. He's pretty damn old. He's 25.
Yeah. How? Wait. Okay. Pull up. How is he so old? Did he take a bunch of gap years just to like train?
People got extended college
Freshman
eligibility
years?
because of COVID.
Oh, COVID. That explains it. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, Georgia has the size advantage. They have the amazing defense and stuff. But I will say TCU. That's how I expected it going in them against Michigan. Was that Michigan had such a huge size advantage on them? I really didn't think that they had a shot. Michigan got cute. They tried to focus on passing the ball a lot when they should have just ran it. I think Jim Harbaugh's plan against TCU was pretty bad. I do just see Georgia running over this. I think this is going to be a beating.
I'm not gonna say it's a beating. I'll say it's close. I feel like TCU will cover the spread if I'm being honest. But I do think at the end of the day, look at Georgia. Like the last game that they played, they were down bad. They just wanted it more than the other team. They've had that experience in gut wrench pressure situations, and they came back from a deficit that some would say was insurmountable. But like I don't know. Stathead said it best last night. You know, something happened in Georgia after that last Super Bowl where they're like, all right, we're focusing on two sports, baseball and college football. And they haven't missed yet. So
it does feel that way. They're starting to feel like, I mean, Clemson sort of took the mantle for a while as like one of the leading beating Alabama. Like Alabama was the hierarchy for so long, you know, for the people our age, right? And then it was like, okay, well, Clemson started to take over. Now it feels like Georgia is just firmly planted. They're like the dominant team in college football right now.
Yeah, like at least first time in my lifetime that it feels like they're dominant. They've always kind of like, especially like maybe the last few years prior to this, they've kind of felt like top 5, top 10. But like you're right, it does feel like they're starting to become the dominant team. But hey, who knows what happens after this year? We're gonna have a new quarterback. So
yeah, I mean, you saw LSU felt like they were like the best offense we had ever seen. They were going to be incredible. And then just like after that season, they just fell off a cliff. So
yeah, exactly. Who knows? But it's a good team. It's led by the same quarterback as last year's national championship. It'd be great to see 2 back-to-back. I think that's something that hopefully he can live up to. Bennett can live up to when he gets drafted. But I think that's a lot of pressure to put on someone. But I think he's going to make it. I think he's not going to do well in the NFL. That's my hot take.
Okay, we're going to mark that one down. We'll check back in with you in a season or two. We'll see where Stetson Bennett ends up.
He's going to be at the end of a bench somewhere behind. I mean,
the fact that he hasn't entered the NFL draft yet.
Yeah,
I think lends credence. I think that it's kind of known. Let's wrap up the football topics. We got one basketball topic today, and it's just that this season is crazy. Because it legitimately feels like at this point in the season, we normally have like 1 or 2 guys that we really feel like that's the MVP battles. These 2 guys, and whoever gets to close out the season, they're going to be the MVP. This year, it legitimately feels like we have like 5, maybe even 7 legitimate MVP candidates right now. This season, the offense has been insane. Some of these guys are playing like really good defense. AJ, where are you at right now? Where do you think the MVP frontrunner is?
I think it really comes down to the fact that you got to look at who's. I know you're probably gonna go with Luka, and I'm gonna go with the other guy that's on this picture right here. I'm gonna go with Giannis, man. Like I feel like Giannis, he's averaging a double-double right now. If it's not Giannis, to me, it's the Joker. Because those 2 guys are doing ridiculous things. Like Nikola Jokic is almost averaging a triple-double with 25, almost 26 points a game, almost 11 rebounds a game, and almost 10 assists per game. These are all like...
He's playing out of his mind.
He's playing
They're not going to give it to him
basketball.
3 years in a row, though, right? They're not going to give it to him 3 years in a row.
I think for him, like, I wish that the MVP came like after the playoffs, because it's like for him, in my mind... For him to be like the outstanding best player right now this season, he's got to lead his team to the playoffs. Like he's got to get to that finals. Otherwise, it's kind of like it's wasted talent. Like I love the Nuggets, but man, that organization is not doing a good job handling him. But besides that, like, why not Giannis, man? Like these guys, they're no longer the reigning champs, but like this team pretty much has won the championship before. It's pretty much the same couple core guys. So
it's hard to argue right now that Giannis is not the best 2-way player in the league. Just like his offensive production is insane. His defense like he's so good on defense.
Yeah,
He's playing out of his mind. Luka is
there it
having one
is.
of the
I know
best NBA seasons any of us has ever seen. Like his scoring output's ridiculous. He just had a 60-20 game like a week ago. It's unbelievable. And the thing is, he's really the only guy on his team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That team is Luka Doncic. That's sort of my argument why is not only is he having one of the best seasons of all time, which we've seen like Joker have a couple times. We've seen Giannis have one of these ridiculous seasons every now and then. The fact that he's like the only guy on this Mavericks team, and it honestly feels like the organization is really failing this guy right now by just not being
100%.
able to put a team around him. You seen like Jalen Brunson, like they probably should have kept him because he's playing pretty damn good for the Knicks right now. I was skeptical this offseason whether or not he was actually going to be that big of an impact player. The Mavs probably should have held on to him. I do want to give a shout out to like Donovan Mitchell's been playing super well. Like it's calling anybody an MVP front runner right now doesn't feel right given how many people are having absolutely insane seasons. But
yeah, there's definitely no front runner this year, at least in my opinion either. But I'm always going to be hesitant to give it to Luka as much as he's a great player. There's always going to be that Trae Young comparison that I'm going to hate. So
I don't know, man. I mean, we'll check back in like in a couple years, but right now I like Trae, but just with what Luka's doing over the past couple of years, this guy's just nuts, dude.
he's great. I'm not saying he's not great. I'm not saying he's not talented, but I still don't think this is an end-all be-all debate like ender. I think
Do you think
it's
if we go back
like
to
Ronaldo
when
and
you guys
Messi.
when you guys made the conference finals,
Yep.
if you take out Trae and you swap in Luka on that team, that was a really good team. But you swap out those two players. Do you think they make it to the finals?
No. You know why?
Tell me why.
The reason that a lot of people will be like, "Oh, you're wrong, AJ," is because you wouldn't be just missing Trae Young. You'd be missing Cam Reddish. And as much as like I love the Hawks organization, the fact that they traded Cam Reddish for like nothing, basically. I mean, they ended up getting a draft. Like it ended up being okay because they ended up getting AJ Griffin through it, essentially. But without Cam Reddish, the team wouldn't have gotten as far as they did. He had a couple clutch games where he came in and saved them. So no, I don't think that would have changed it. I genuinely don't think that Luka has the clutch gene, playoff gene yet. He has yet to make it out of that first. Like what? He's gotten to the second round, right?
I think
Or
last
has he
year he
not?
made it to the second round.
I think last year was the first time he got to the second round, but he has yet to make it as far as the Trae Young is taking the Hawks.
It's true.
I think that this year with the Hawks and with Trae Young, I think it's a coach. I was never excited about Nate McMillan. There's a lot of Indiana Pacers fans that really hate Nate McMillan, and I understand why. I think Trae Young's tenure as a Hawk has been very much plagued by bad coaches, from Larry Drew to now Nate McMillan. I think McMillan got a lot of praise because he came in and took over Larry Drew's team and took him to the playoffs, but he hasn't had that success. And the thing that people don't realize is that that's Nate McMillan coaching under a Larry Drew system. So it's Larry Drew's system that was set up that did well under this coaching. Now flip-flop, him and Trae Young aren't getting along. That's never good. To me, Scott Skiles, bring him to the Hawks. I would love that. But hey, that's another time and another topic.
I just feel like if you gave Luka the weapons like Clint Capella, like that season they had Kevin Huerter who would just have games where he was just shooting out of his. He's playing super well for the Kings. By the way.
Dude, I'm so mad that they traded him. He's playing ridiculous.
Bogey's
still there.
I just feel like if you gave Luka those pieces, he plays it. That Western Conference has been very, very difficult while he's been there. But like, I just feel like he could go really, really far if he had those.
Give me that trade back. Let's have that trade happen again now. Switch the teams right now. Trae Young's not happy in Atlanta. I'm sure Luka's not happy in the Mavericks. Switch him up. Because imagine imagine Luka Doncic on this Hawks right now with what I hate saying his name, but
DeJounte Murray.
DeJounte. I can never say that right. I always call him Murray. Imagine Murray, John Carter, Onyeka, AJ Griffin. Like that would be a dirty team led by Luka Doncic.
Just Luka and John Collins alone, I feel like those two together would be wrecking people.
Throw in Murray as, the point guard. That would be a dirty combination. That's great handles for days, but we can only wish so much.
All right. Well, let's move into our next topic here because we lost one of the all-time greats in the history of sports. Not dropping any hot takes on this one, not debating anything. We just want to take a moment to just respect one of the best to ever play any sport. Like, this is a guy, Pele, who's just like, when you in Americans, Americans, we don't have a love for football in that way, but like everybody knows who Pele is here. That's the kind of impact this guy has. It was just ridiculous, and it's sad that we lost him.
Yeah, outright legend. A lot of people talk about GOATs in any sport. You kind of have to say that he's the GOAT of all GOATs, in my opinion. Not only did he win the hardest trophy to acquire, in my opinion, one of the hardest trophies in all of sports to acquire, the World Cup. He did it 3 times. He did more than he's done it more than anybody. I'm almost 100% sure.
It's extremely hard to win multiple World Cups, and
I think he's the only person that has won 3 times. So Neymar, I think, was chasing his goal scoring record. But you got to give the man credit. He is the GOAT of all GOATs for a reason. There's a reason why all these legends have taken a moment to respect his, just greatness. And we did lose an amazing player, an amazing human, and the soccer world will never be the same.
I think one of the things that genuinely, the way I regard like really GOATs, greatest of all times, is people who change the way the game is played. And I'm not sure anybody has ever changed a sport more than the way Pele played the way football, soccer has played across the world. You look at, you can think of any sport. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, those guys changed basketball for a period of time. And eventually the league moved on. Michael Jordan changed it. Then LeBron changed it. Then Steph Curry changed it. Pele changed the game. And then for the most part, it hasn't changed that much since Pele did what he did. That's the kind of thing that is like almost unheard of in sports, that you can trace so much of the way the game is played back to a single person. And so, I in many ways, I agree with you. I think this guy is kind of like the GOAT of GOATs.
Yeah. It's sad to say goodbye.
Yep, absolutely. Let's move into the next topic, because this is one we had to do this on the fly this morning, because last night something absolutely huge happened in the wrestling world. Sasha Banks, as many of you know her, has been just we didn't know what was going on. She left the WWE, had this huge controversy. She just up and left. Last night at Wrestle Kingdom in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Mercedes Moné debuts, Sasha Banks' new name. I'm pumped, man. I didn't get to watch Wrestle Kingdom live. I'm not the young man who used to stay up all night watching Wrestle Kingdom and then go to work. I can't do that anymore.
No.
But I love New Japan Pro Wrestling. I haven't been keeping up. The business everything got really weird with COVID. I'm a huge New Japan. New Japan was the thing that got me back into wrestling in my early 20s. So for me, this is huge. For this to happen at Wrestle Kingdom, I'm so excited.
I don't know if you saw the news, but right before we got on here, I know you were probably at work, but it was leaked through Wrestling Insiders that Sasha Banks is going to be on AEW soon, and she's going to be tag teaming and going up against Britt Baker. So rumor is she's going to be a part of AEW because they're allowing her to work with New Japan. So I'm
They have that
excited for
relationship.
that.
Kenny Omega wrestled in the
He was
the semi-main event last night at Wrestle Kingdom
and won the belts, I think. Yeah, the All-American New Japan World Wrestling belt.
Yep. It's
So
the second time that he's held that.
I hope they don't. I'm gonna be real. As much as I love Kenny Omega, the whole belt collector like persona really bothered me because I'm like, all right, Kenny Omega's coming in, he's gonna win. Here we go again. So
I literally can't be annoyed by anything about Kenny Omega.
you're like,
Guy. Every
Yeah.
single thing that guy does, I love Kenny Omega.
yeah. I genuinely. There's like rumors going around that like CM Punk is coming back, and this whole thing was just like a build up to another storyline. Man, if that's the case, good on him. Good on them. That's the best storyline over like 3 years. Like I'd lose my mind if that happened, genuinely.
That would be pretty crazy. I'm super excited. Like Sasha being back on AEW, like that feels like so perfect. One of the main areas that AEW has struggled in, or I would say two categories. Not enough people of color in the main card. Not enough quality women's wrestlers. I
agree with the second one more, but yeah.
No, I mean they've made efforts over the last year to sort of fix the first problem. They brought in people, but this is just such a good fit. This is somebody who can genuinely carry a women's roster on her back. They've been having Britt Baker do it for almost 3 years now, and I like Britt quite a bit. Her like in-ring pedigree isn't quite. She reminds me a lot of the Miz. Miz is a wrestler who I love quite a lot too. Sort of lacking in the in-ring ability, really great personality and stuff. Not the kind of person you can rely on to carry a roster.
Yeah.
Mercedes Moné is the exact kind of person. She did it for years in the WWE. She carried that women's roster for quite a long time.
Yeah, I agree. I think I really hope that her and Paige do something because I agree. I think Sasha or Mercedes can hold over an entire like women's, belt or division. Sorry, women's division. I totally think that they could do it. But I'm tired of the played out Jade Cargill undefeated thing. It's great, but she's not the female Undertaker, in my opinion. I think Sasha coming in or Mercedes coming in and taking that over would be great. It'd be nice to see them create a new faction, her and Paige. Maybe Paige takes the women, or Sasha takes the heavyweight. Paige takes the TNT championship. It'd be nice to see a little evil meanness going back and forth, but it looks like they're probably going to be the baby faces because come on, they deserve to be there.
It's going to be hard to not start her off as
exactly.
I think she in her career has been better as a heel, but right now we haven't seen her wrestle in almost a year now. She's been out for a long time. People are super excited. You're not going to get people to boo her.
Yeah. So it'd be great to see. I'm really excited just to see how she can be involved in AEW. I genuinely, my biggest complaint with AEW was the women's division, and from Paige to Sasha coming in, I feel like soon it's going to be equivalent, if not better, to what WWE is doing, and WWE has been developing their women's division for years, for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and this is all the way back to the Attitude Era when they were pretty much just models, like just not doing anything.
Well,
So
I was like right around like 2014, 2015, like that women's division actually got really, really good in WWE.
Exactly.
And now I think AEW is finally starting to get the pieces together where they can have a genuinely great women's division. So that's super exciting.
They just need to take the New Day from NXT because I don't want the New Day to die in NXT. Bring them over to AEW, have the best tag team division in all of wrestling.
They already have the best tag team division. They just don't have the New Day.
Exactly. You're 100% right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But if the New Day came, not only would that allow the New Day to be a part of a company that has a trios division, it would allow Kofi, Xavier, and Big E to actually wrestle together for a belt that they all three can wear. No more sharing of a tag team belt.
No, I'll tell you, the most exciting thing about it would be that would allow the New Day to wrestle in 6-man tags in New Japan. That would be
Yes,
insane.
100%. Not only that, they'd get to go over to AAA and get the like 6-man tag champions over there. So that'd be great
love a
too.
6-man tag. All right. Well, that was super fun topic. We haven't gotten too many wrestling topics, even though we've teased them for quite a while now. That was our first like genuinely good wrestling topic. Let's get into some fan control topics, man. We got you brought this one up to me.
I did.
You brought this one up to me, and I was interested in this. Does the FCF need a new trophy? AJ, you get to start this one off.
Okay. See, okay, this is one that I know I'm gonna get flack for. Deez, Kamish, Makuga, I know you guys watch, and I'm gonna get a phone call being like, why are you doing this? Why are you talking about this? Because it needs to be talked about. Okay. I love FCF 100%. I love them. It is my favorite league of all professional sports. And I think it shows. I am an owner of one of the teams. I'm the first fan to go from fan to owner to like working with them. I love it. I love breaking the barriers. But I'm going to be real. And this is a moment that I got to be real. That is not a good trophy. It's a great MVP trophy. 100%. I'd love to see that as the MVP trophy. The People's Championship trophy needs to be a little better. It just does. I mean, I want to compare it to, the Stanley Cup, to, the NBA championship, to, even the Super Bowl's championship, the NFL's championship. Those are great awards. I'm not going to even remember the names. The Larry O'Brien trophy. There you go. See, I know things. I just don't like to say the names, be proper about it. I've been in a punk band half my life. I'm not proper about most things, let alone naming things. Okay. So, but even if we're not going to go up against the biggest leagues, I want to compare it to, these these sports leagues. Look at the Apex ALS championship trophy. That thing is amazing. Look at the Overwatch championship trophy. That thing is amazing. These are wild, great trophies that are very elaborate, very showy. And I think we need to get on that level. Every year we have a new one. That's great. But I really want that sword. I think the sword would be great.
The sword
would be great,
man. We voted on it in season 1. Everybody wanted the big ass sword. Where's the big ass sword?
I'm not gonna lie. I would love to see a big ass sword. If we can get a big ass sword with some gems.
That picture of the Korean baseball league where they took and they just held up this. That was the coolest championship picture of all time.
I 100% agree. The only thing that I'm worried about is the Knights being like, well, we deserve the sword. We're the Knights. No, apes can hold swords. Weird kingpins can hold swords. Even Steve Aoki can hold a sword. All right. Swords are cool for everybody. You can't claim that.
I will say, Mike Clark in chat brings up a good point. Something you can drink out of. I'm a big believer of being able to drink out of a trophy. My measurement is, can you drink a Sprite out of it? Because that's what I want to do. Is I want to win a trophy. I want to crack a Sprite, pour it in there, drink a Sprite out of the trophy.
Not gonna lie,
we have not had a trophy that you could drink out of yet in the FCF. So that's something I would like.
See, now that falls down a slippery slope of what can we do with our championship trophy? Because I'm sure some people would want to take the QB stew route, but you can't do that. Can't do that.
We can't go that far with the trophy. We can drink out of the trophy. We can't smoke out of the trophy. Okay, those are the rules.
Those are the rules. All right. If you get a replica, that's your own business. Like, do that at home in a legal state, not here. Not in the arena, all right. Not in Pullman Yards.
Okay, no. Let's keep it with the FCF. Let's get into a next topic here because you posed a question to me, and this gave me I might have thought about this more than any other topic we've got going on this week. You said apes versus the Knights. Who has more to prove in season 3.0, the apes or the Knights? I'm gonna let you start this off. Give me what you got. Because I know what your answer is going to be. I think you're wrong. So just tell me right now, and then I'll give you the real answer.
Who has more to prove? See, I wanted to pose that question to you because it was just funny, but it's a very loaded question. Genuinely, I think the Knights have more to prove. And I know you're going to say, no, the apes do because they lost and they were the best team. You're right. We were the best team, but we limped into the playoffs. we had our best quarterback ankle injury on the first touchdown of the playoff, like the People's Championship game. Mo Thomas breaks 2 ribs, doesn't tell anyone about it, and still has an amazing game. But they were playing hurt and down. Now, that's not an excuse. The Zappers had a great game. But the Knights, to me, have way more to prove, purely based on the fact that on paper, they had the best team, most stacked wide receiving core. They got a trade that favored them more so than any other team in the league. I don't care what Josh Makuga says. Josh and me argued about this for days end. He didn't want to bring me on the show because I was too busy doing other things for everyone else, but I wanted to go on the show and argue about this. The Knights were so hyped up and didn't make the playoffs.
The Knights were hyped up. The Knights were hyped up. Oh my God. Every
Terrell
single weekend.
Owens,
Every
Ed
single
Crouch.
weekend. I have to listen to how about DeAndre Francois is the best quarterback who's ever played in the FCF. Oh my. We had to talk here. Oh, they have the best running group in the entire FCF. Oh my God. Look at how good their wide receivers are.
What?
You
No
guys
one,
were the
first
most
of all,
hyped
no
up
one
team in the
said
entire
that we had the
league.
no one said we had the best wide receiving core. No, that was never a case. Yes, we had a great running back, but we were never the best running back core. Everybody was like, Vergis is the best running back core. Like, you're hyping it up too much. Everybody was astonished at what the Apes did, not the individual players.
The reason the Apes, more than not just the Knights, more than any other team in the entire FCF, the Apes have the most to prove next year is because y'all wouldn't shut the F up all season. Every single day I log on Twitter, I gotta see info. I gotta see Sir Doom. I gotta see Nerd E talking about undefeated, best fans in the FCF. We know the most play calling. Oh, we draft the best. We call the best plays. We're the best team. We haven't lost yet. And then what happens?
Technically we were.
The finals. You lose the finals to the worst team in the entire league.
Okay. Yeah.
You guys talked yourself up so much, and then you face planted it right there at the end. So this year actually, you have to prove that it wasn't a fluke, which it was.
Okay. Whoa. Calling it a fluke. If it was a fluke, we wouldn't have gotten to the People's Championship. All right. We wouldn't have beaten the Knights
Zappers got
twice.
to the People's Championship. That was a fluke.
That wasn't a fluke. Look at what they did in the end of this. They built a good team. And honestly, I'm going to be real. I actually liked the way the Zappers went about it, because if you think about it, it was genuinely smart. If you lose the first few games of the season, you get higher draft picks and you can steal better players from other teams, which is what they did. They took our best player, one of our best wide receivers in Williams. They ended up getting Kelly Bryant right after they lost every quarterback. Johnny couldn't come in and help him out. And genuinely, the Zappers, as much as they weren't good, they came back when it mattered and beat out the Beasts and the Glacier Boys to get to the finals. Not only that, beat the should have been Stars and the Apes. You have to, as much as I hate it,
a dysfunctional team who had their best player leave the league halfway through the season.
You got to give it to the Zapper. As much as I hate it, you got to give it to them. They did a good thing. They took advantage of it. And the two teams they faced in the playoffs weren't at their 100%. They weren't. Whether you want to admit it or not, the Apes were hurt. Should have been Stars were very dysfunctional at the end, especially because they lost their best player.
No, this is a great point from Kratos. All the people who started the team, all the fans, left the Zappers and only left the people who knew how to play football.
Exactly. That's something that the Knights, the Apes, Aoki, and the Kingpins are going to have to deal with next year, because they're going to have an influx of new fans. And I genuinely do believe the Knights have more to... They got literally the best team. Dude, they got the trade. Okay,
they don't.
Explain this.
No,
you got the most one-sided trade in
I'm
history.
expanding my take.
I'm right.
My take.
You know I'm right. That's why you're getting so heated, because you guys got the most one-sided trade in history, to a point it upset 4 other teams in the league. It did. The Beast fans were very upset. Zapper
They were
fans,
upset for stupid reasons. Zappers fans, they were upset for stupid reasons.
No,
that
they
doesn't
weren't.
matter. That doesn't matter.
It was the
not
most
only do the
one-sided
apes
trade
have
in
the most
history.
not only do the apes have the most to prove next season, AJ, you have the most to prove next season. How many times are you going to lose the finals, AJ? How many times are you going to lose in the finals?
I've lost 2 times. Correct.
2
But
seasons, 2 L's.
all I have to say is that's better than some people's records. All right, some people's went from the Zappers season 1 to the Knights season 2. So 2 teams that didn't even deserve to be in the playoffs in both years. Didn't do as bad as that. My teams that I've been on both went to the People's Championships. Maybe I can't get it past the finish line, sure, but hey, we're perennial playoffs. That's my team. Whereas your team is 1-0 for making the playoffs, while I'm 2-0 for making the playoffs. You have 1 championship. Good on you. Proud of you. You won once.
See how that says champions?
Your
that says
team,
champions right there.
You should have stuck with, and genuinely, you should have stayed with the should have been stars because they did better than the Knights, man. You made a poor decision. It's okay. You can. I'm sure they'll take you back. But you chose wrong. I say it's better for you to just jump off the Knights.
So much shit about everybody else. You've never won anything. You've never won
That's
anything.
Not true. You don't know that. You don't know my career as a soccer player. National champions.
Are we playing soccer here, or are we drafting and playing football teams?
You did that one time in the first season, and you're getting all hot and bothered.
Okay, so
you
I've been champion. I've been
2.
champion of half the seasons the league has ever had.
Oh, yes. But then you chose a team that couldn't make it to the playoffs. So, hey, I think the best thing to do, game theory says, go back to your first choice. Go be a should have been stars. It matches your whole theme, okay, with the whole Jose Ruckus like logo in the background, purple and pink. It's your team colors, man. Just go back to where you once hailed from. It's going to be better for you. The Knights are, I'm telling you, man, right now, it's not going to be good for you. You guys are going to get hyped up. You're going to get traded for great players. It's going to be super one-sided. Like, you're going to get Jacoby Herring. You're going to get T.O. You're going to get all these great wide receivers with arguably the second best quarterback in the league. And you're still not going to make it to the playoffs. Still not going to make it to the playoffs. You had the MVP of the league, and you didn't make it to the playoffs?
He wasn't the MVP of the league. Mitch Kidd was the MVP of the league.
No, last year. Season 1.
He was the People's Champion MVP.
Yeah, season 1. MVP. Didn't make it. And you had you have a Hall of Famer. You had a Hall of Famer and arguably the second best quarterback. You guys had more to prove. You didn't even make it. Literally the worst trade in history happened. It was so one-sided, and you can't even argue me with that. You can't.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a definitive, like Terrell Owens wasn't good. Why did people keep acting like T.O. was this dominant player in season 2? He was terrible.
But you guys didn't use him properly. See, if you used him like you should have and not focused in on him, great. He pulls defenders.
The two-time championship losing guy can tell me how to use players. Okay.
I've gotten to the People's Championships twice. You've only gotten there once. I'll take my odds. If I can go next year, 3 times in a row,
and lose all 3, yeah, you'll be like the Buffalo Bills.
We'll see if I lose all 3.
Jim Kelly, yeah. Jim Kelly, legendary quarterback. Everybody loves Jim Kelly.
Hey, but people remember the coaches that continually go to the playoffs. I'm just saying.
Then who was the coach of the Buffalo Bills who went to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row and lost all 4?
I don't know. I'm not going to
Exactly.
I'm not going to even pretend like I know. So.
Exactly.
I'm right. I'm just saying, man, like everybody hates the Knights. I'm going to be real. This is the one thing that I know that I'm right in. Going into that game against the Knights and the Apes, hearing everyone say, oh, the Apes are going to lose. They're undefeated. It's going to end now. The amount, and you say the amount of talking that the Apes fans do, the Knights fans, man, they talk a lot more. And the best thing is postseason, Apes are still around. I just see Peanut in the Discord as a Knights fan. Even you, as a Knights fan, have gotten a little quiet. Where's that
AJ.
Night Pride, man?
AJ.
See, wait.
The thing
Oh, you can't see it
is,
because it's green, but that's an Apes hat right there.
the saying goes, and this goes to Steph Curry, it goes to Draymond Green, it goes to Klay Thompson, it goes to Steve Kerr. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got the ring.
See, you're quite cocky for someone who didn't make it.
Who's
to the
won a
playoffs, like,
championship?
with a different team. You're not on that. If you were saying, I would take this easier if you were on the Should Have Been Stars, but you're not. It's okay, man. We all can leave a good winning team to go to a bad team. It's okay. Admitting it is the first step.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's Don't Cause a Ruckus. Thank you to everybody who is hanging out in the chat. If you didn't know, we go live on twitch.tv/fan-controlled sports every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We also go live on YouTube.
Oh, wait.
YouTube.com/fan-controlled.
We got like what?
Oh, you wanna do? I figured we went over time. We would skip it.
No, we still got 7
one?
minutes. We got 7 minutes. We got 8 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
2022 in review, AJ. Favorite movies, favorite books, favorite music, anything that came out in 2022. What are your favorites of 2022?
Wow. It's sad that like nothing's really sticking out to me from this past year. My favorite moment of this past year, I'm gonna be real, is getting engaged. Honestly, that was like a great moment for me.
Huge.
As far as like movies, Avatar 2 came out.
It's pretty sweet.
It's a good movie. The CG there, I'm gonna be real. There was a lot of CGI, like a lot. I wish there was
really
a little more human. You're right, 100%. It was really good CGI. There's only one moment, and I'm gonna say this without spoiling anything. It was when two Na'vi were fighting in the rain, and like there was a flash of light, and it was just like I was just like, and that's CGI. Like that's like 1990 CGI, and just that like
CGI,
2 frames a moment, and it took me out of it. But it's still a great movie. Black Panther was really good.
Top Gun 2, Kratos shouted that out. I love Top Gun 2, Top Gun Maverick. I thought that movie was incredible.
Good movie.
My favorite movie of the year was The Banshees of Inisherin. You can check that out on HBO Max if you have it. It's
Is that a
Colin
horror?
Farrell. Huh?
Is it a horror? What kind of movie
No,
is it?
it's like a comedy drama.
Okay.
I think it's really, really funny. I think it's really, really good. It's Colin Farrell and the guy who played Mad Eye Moody in Harry Potter. Really good movie. I recommend everybody check it out. I think it was really, really good. Music. There was some really good music that came out. Beyonce's new album was pretty good. Taylor Swift's new album I thought was just fine. My favorite album of the year was by this group called Drug Dealer. It's called Hiding in Plain Sight. It's like a throwback to like 70s kind of music. I think it's really good. Let's see.
I'm not happy that Machine Gun Kelly came out with an album. I know that. It's not happy about that.
Yeah, everything from Machine Gun Kelly was pretty bad this year.
That was pretty bad. That was not cool.
The whole pop punk MGK experience, wasn't a fan of that.
Not a fan of that. Yeah, as far as music goes, this wasn't a year really that like I got super excited for. If I'm being honest, it felt like a lot of people were entering the pop punk scene that didn't have genuine reasons to be. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel that.
I guess Megan Thee Stallion's album was pretty great that came out.
I really like that one. I'm a huge MTS fan. I thought that album was pretty good. It's too long.
It's a long album
on it. Yeah. It's really long. I think there's some filler on there, but a huge Megan stan. I don't care. I listened to that. I've listened to that album a bunch of times this year.
The Weeknd, he had a good album. Oh, fuck yeah. Now I just realized the Wonder Years came out. If you guys don't know about the Wonder Years, they're a band that's near and dear to me. They just came out with an album after a long time. Friends with the guys in that band, Soupy especially, and they had issues with their record label that wouldn't let them put out this album, and they finally got it out. So kudos to them.
I never got super into the Wonder Years. All my friends, huge Wonder Years fans. I just never like clicked with me.
Okay, so the way I describe the Wonder Years is I think they're a band's band. And what I mean by that is like they're a band that specifically musicians love and like people who aren't like into that scene or something, and sometimes they don't get into it. And I think it's specifically because they write songs that artists can relate, like specifically musicians can relate to. I just remember a bunch of touring artists just screaming like they had this one called I think it's Smoke Through a Screen Door. I don't know the name, but I know it's something like that. And yeah, that one, like people were screaming that on tour just because it's like there's like a line that's like basically there's pretty much like a whole stanza basically. It's like, oh my god, I'm like 23, I'm sleeping in a van, all the people I went to high school with have kids and like wives. Did I mess this up? Am I doing things wrong? So it's just like stuff like that. So I think it's very much
you a fan of Pup?
Yeah, I am a fan of Pup.
Their album, If This Tour Doesn't Kill You, I Will. Great album.
It's true. Yeah, it's a good album. But yeah, even the title says it. If this tour doesn't kill you, he's gonna.
Oh, Kendrick's album was really good this year. Mr. Moore and the Big Steppers. That album was great.
Great album.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff this year.
Yeah. It was a mild year for me, in my opinion.
Music-wise, I didn't love a whole lot. I think there's a lot of good movies that came out this year if you really explore some stuff.
The Batman was good. Did that come out this year?
Yeah, the Batman did come out last year. That was a good movie.
Yeah, I'm going to say that. The fact that I became an owner of an FCF team. Love that.
I was already an owner, so.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're right.
I already owned a team.
Technically, we both were, but
all right. Well, yeah. I think that will officially wrap up this week's Don't Cause a Ruckus. If you didn't know, Don't Cause a Ruckus, we go live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, over on twitch.tv/fan-controlled-sports. You can hang out with us just like Kratos 2010 is, just like Mike Larkey is. If you can't watch it live, that's just fine. The show gets posted the day after on youtube.com/fan-controlled-sports or on any of the podcast services. Just look up the Fan Controlled Sports feed, where you can also find a bunch of dope shows like the Info Arcade show, like the Fan Controlled show, like all the weird stuff Josh McCougo just posts on YouTube throughout the week.
That is true. Yeah.
It's all pretty cool stuff. AJ, it was awesome to kick off 2023.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. We started it off with our age-old rivalry, but with our new teams. It's great. Good way to start
Absolutely. Tune in next week. I'm sure we'll be covering all the latest in sports news. There should be a bunch of cool stuff to talk about. We'll be checking in with some of our predictions. And until next time, keep the ruckus to a minimum.
Peace.